You ever look out at the open ocean and just get this pit in your stomach? A kind of dread that's more than just being nervous about the water? Well, today we're diving into that exact feeling. It's called thalassophobia, that deep, profound fear of the big, dark sea. And we're going to figure out why your brain might actually be hardwired to feel it.
Okay, just picture it with me for a second. You're out there, floating in the middle of the ocean. You're treading water, you're fine. But then, you look down, and what do you see? Just blue. An endless, empty blue that fades into a crushing, absolute blackness below you. If that thought alone makes your pulse quicken, then yeah, you know exactly what we're talking about.
So there's a name for this. It's thalassophobia. And we're not just talking about a casual dislike of the beach. This is a deep, persistent fear of these huge bodies of water. The key thing here is, it's not really about the water itself, it's about what you can't see hiding in it.
And it's really important to get this straight. This is not the same thing as aquaphobia. Aquaphobia is a fear of water, period. You know, like fear of drowning in a pool, or even just the fear of getting splashed in the face. Thalassophobia is way more specific. It's the fear of that immense, dark, unknowable void that deep water represents.
So, why does this happen? What is going on in our heads? To understand that, we have to look at how our brain deals with a very particular problem, the problem of getting no information whatsoever. See, at its core, your brain is an information processing machine. It's a pattern seeker. It's constantly scanning, identifying, and trying to make sense of everything around you. You look at a forest, your brain sees trees, leaves, animals, a path. It's got data to work with. But when you look down into the deep, dark ocean, it gets nothing. A total and complete data void.
And this is where the brain kinda glitches. Here's how it goes down. First, your visual input gets cut off. It's too dark, too murky. Second, your brain literally can't process nothing. It's just not built for it. So what happens? The amygdala, the fear center of your brain, jumps in and takes over. It starts projecting threats into that empty space. It fills that void with your worst nightmares, sharks, krakens, sea monsters, you name it.
And that's the real kicker. Thalassophobia isn't really a fear of what's in the deep. It's a fear of not knowing what's in the deep. Your own mind creates the monster because honestly, a monster you can imagine is easier for your brain to handle than an endless, empty, unknowable void.
But here's the wild part. This glitch, it isn't some modern disorder. It's actually an ancient piece of survival software, passed down to us through thousands and thousands of years.
I mean, let's be real. For pretty much all of human history, deep water was a death trap. We can't breathe down there, we're embarrassingly slow swimmers compared to anything that actually lives there, and the cold will get us fast. So our ancestors who were super cautious, the ones who were suspicious of that dark water, well, they stayed on the shore. And they're the ones who live long enough to become our ancestors.
Which perfectly illustrates the point. If you look at a dark patch of ocean and get the chills, it just means your evolutionary programming is working perfectly. Congratulations are in order because your ancestors taught you very, very well.
But this fear doesn't just stop with, the natural world. Oh no. It can get much more specific and, frankly, a whole lot weirder.
Let me introduce you to submechanophobia. Yep, that's a real thing. It is the very distinct fear of man-made objects that are underwater. Think about a shipwreck suddenly appearing out of the gloom, or the giant, silent propeller under a boat, or the anchor chains on a buoy just disappearing into the dark.
So why is that so uniquely creepy? Well, it triggers this sense of wrongness in our brains. We know that machines, buildings, things we build, they belong on dry land. So when we see them underwater, rusting and covered in algae, it's like a big red flag for disaster. It screams decay, failure, and that the natural order of things has been violated.
And then there's the fear of just pure scale. It's got a mouthful of a name, megalohydrothalassophobia. But what it really boils down to is a fear of huge things in the water. And this isn't just about giant predators. It can be about anything that's overwhelmingly massive.
Imagine you're snorkeling and suddenly the full shadow of a blue whale passes over you, or a submarine materializes out of the murk. That fear is triggered by the sudden, gut-punching realization of how tiny and insignificant you are. It's this primal reminder that down here, in this environment, you are absolutely not at the top of the food chain.
So, when you start putting all these pieces together, a really fascinating picture starts to form. This fear, it might feel irrational, but it might not be.
And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Thalassophobia, in all its strange forms, is basically your brain's ancient security system. It's this deep, instinctual alarm bell, screaming at you, a land-dwelling mammal, that you are way out of your element. You don't belong here.
So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, your brain absolutely hates a data void, so it fills that darkness with monsters. And that instinct, it's a survival code, passed down from ancestors who were smart enough to fear the deep. So while it feels irrational, it's actually incredibly logical from a biological standpoint. Which kind of leaves us with one last big question. If a fear makes this much sense, is it really a phobia at all? Or is it just ancient wisdom?